Hello, my name is Stephen Given, and I'm the program assistant here with Project Warm. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to install plastic on your windows to help you lower your utility bills and stay warm this winter. To weatherize your windows, you will need the following items. 1 roll of weatherizing window plastic, 1 roll of clear packing tape, rope caulk, foam backer rod, a tape measure, and a pair of scissors. Now, before we begin, we want to make sure that our window is closed and locked. Once we put the plastic up, we will not be able to go back and close and lock the window, so double check and make sure that's done first. Alright, once we've closed and locked our window, we want to make sure that any cracks or gaps around the window frame have been sealed either with the rope caulk or the backer rod. Now, on our demonstration window here, you can see this big crack that's going to be letting cold air into the home. What we're going to be doing is taking this rope caulk here. It's a clay-like substance that we use to seal cracks. We're going to be taking a strip of that. It peels apart very easy. And we're going to seal the crack in the window with it. All right, so I'm just going to press the rope caulk in. And make sure that gap is nice and sealed. Now, if you have any larger gaps, you may want to use this backer rod. It's a foam rope. This is easier to fit into larger gaps. Unfortunately, our demonstration window does not have any large enough gaps to demonstrate at this time. But if you run across any bigger gaps in the windows, this is what you want to use instead of the rope caulk. All right, now that we've sealed our window with either rope caulk, backer rod, or both, we're going to move on to measuring the window for the plastic itself. We're going to start from the center of the frame on one side and measure to the center of the frame on the other, right around the middle of the window. We don't want to measure at the top and we don't want to measure at the bottom. I'm going to take my tape measure, start from the middle on one side and the middle on the other, and this window is 20 inches across. The good way about this method is even if you have a very wide window, you're still going to do the same thing. It doesn't change even if you have a big picture window. Now we're going to take that measurement, that same 20 inches we measured on the window, and we're going to take our roll of plastic and roll the plastic out to that measurement. Again, in this case, 20 inches. Once you have that rolled out, we're going to take our scissors and cut the plastic to that same length, keeping it rolled up in the roll. Now we're left with a sheet of plastic that we're going to use to cover the window. All right, now that we've measured and cut our plastic, we're going to start adhering it to the window. At this point, I always recommend taking your tape and pre-cutting several pieces. Usually in my experience, I say 4 small pieces and several large pieces. Here's an example of the pre-cut tape as I was mentioning. We have 4 small pieces and 4 long pieces. We will need to use more tape during the process, but this gives you a nice place to start without having to mess with the tape while you're putting up the plastic. Now that we're ready to go with the tape, we're going to take our plastic, still in the same sheet or the same length as we cut it, and we're going to let it unravel. So now we have this big long piece of plastic. We're going to take this big long piece of plastic and tape it to the top of our windows using 2 small pieces of tape, like this. All right, there's one side. Hold it up. And there's the other. Now, you'll notice I didn't pay too much attention to how I was sticking it up there. At this point, all we're looking for is making sure the plastic hangs over the window. You'll also see that we have quite a bit of extra plastic down here. That's all right. We're going to measure the plastic, just eyeball it, we don't have to break out the tape measure, and cut it so it's about halfway down the bottom of the window. Again, we don't want to go all the way up, or excuse me, all the way to the bottom. We just want to make sure that we can have some room to tape here. So again, eyeballing it. Just going to cut the plastic all the way across. All right, now that we have the top of the plastic taped to the top of the window, we're going to start working on the sides. As we do this, we want to make sure that we're pulling the plastic as tight as possible around the bottom. Again, we want to make sure that most of the tape is on the window and just a little bit on the plastic. You can see while I'm doing this, I'm holding the plastic taut. The tighter you pull the plastic, the better the seal will be. So now I'm going to smooth the tape down the side of the window. You can see that I didn't have enough to go all the way to the bottom. That's okay. I'm going to take a second piece of tape, starting right about where I ended with the last one, and doing the same thing again, until we get just a couple inches above the bottom of the window here. We don't want to go all the way down just yet. Now I'm going to take care of the other side of the window. So we've already done this side. I'm going to move over here and do the other. And again, I'm just running that tape down the edge of the plastic and the window, making sure it's stuck to both, and pulling the plastic as tight as I can as I seal it. You can see up here the plastic is getting a little bit less loose the better we do this. All right, so now we have the top and both sides of our plastic taped to the window. Now we're going to work on the bottom. So we're going to take those two other smaller pieces of tape we cut at the beginning, these short ones here, and we're going to do the same thing we did at the top, which is just tape the corners to the bottom. This is where you really want to pay attention to how tight your plastic is. This is your last chance to make sure it's nice and taut. So you'll see I'm pulling the plastic down and then taping it to the window. All right, great. So the last thing we're going to take care of is taping the bottom of this window and making sure the parts where it goes over the edge are sealed. I'll show you that up close here in just a second. So again, taking one of these longer pieces of tape, as you can see here, and I'm just going to run it along the edge, smoothing it out as I go, making sure there are no air bubbles, that everything is sealed nice and tight. One more time for good measure. All right, so as you can see here, you can see that we have the plastic all attached to the window, but there are a few little problems. So you can see down here, where I can get my finger through the gaps right here, we don't want that. We want to make sure that this is nice and sealed up too. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit more tape and just cover over that as well. This is not an issue that we have on all windows. Some windows do not have that little windowsill, and that's completely fine. But for windows with it, we're just going to cover it up just like that. Make sure I can no longer get my fingers in there on the top or on the bottom. See? All right. You can see that I'm sticking that down. Now there's a nice tight seal. No air is going to be getting in through that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. All right, now that we've taped everything down and everything should be nice and taut, you can see here there is a little slack in mine. That's okay. You're not going to get it perfectly tight every time. We just want to make sure it's not, slouching and falling off. I'm just going to quickly run my fingers around the edge here, make sure that there's no gaps anywhere. The tape is nicely sealed. If I do find any gaps, I'm going to go back and just seal over those with more tape. All right, everything looks good to me. Now you know how to put plastic up on your windows. If you have any questions or anything was unclear in this demonstration, please feel free to reach out to Project Warm by calling our office at 502-636-9276 or reaching out by email at forms, F-O-R-M-S, @projectwarm.org. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it's been helpful for you.